for letting me read here. And I'm going to start with my oldest book, which came out 2 years ago. It's called Too Heavy to Carry. And this is a book about a divorce, because I went through one of those a few years ago, and that sucked. And it's also about finding myself and being a parent with 2 small children. When I separated from my ex-husband, my daughter was 6 months old, and my son was 3 years old. So they were very confused. And I was a little bit upset. So I'm going to start the first poem, which hopefully they'll never read, but they will. Commiserating with another parent. You tell me you feel the same. Procreation was a mistake. All of this while sharing bottles of hotel wine on a patio. I would buy the whole bar just to sit under these country stars and have an ally. No one has ever agreed with me before. And as you pour, we talk of childless times before, all grand. We pretend it's that time again. The mosquitoes buzz into the sweet bottles. We watch as they fly inside the glass. Then you cork them, trapped. But I love them. I do. So I want to read a couple poems that share that about my son, who I love very, very much. The title of this is a quote, "The Child I Never Had." You, my child, have given me shoulders as heavy as Atlas and have corked my mouth so I can't articulate what I really need. You, a catch-22, stole my amaretto and made sure that a divorce will never be final, and yet I can't leave you. Leave you to maim your helmetless head biking in the street, or to strangle yourself with a cord hanging from the blinds, or to wander off to live in the woods with the animals, or to run with a butcher knife and to see with one less eye. I can't regret your non-existence, and I will not regret your birth. When I look at you now, you, unknowing that I would have ended you before you took a breath until I read those words, you, a little boy with dark eyes like my mother's, you whose whine is an alarm that I must shut off immediately, you who dance ballet and have arms that twirl like helicopter blades, you are mine. And the next one's also about my son, Pierce. The ones about my daughter aren't happy. I need to work on that. So I'm not going to read those. She looked at me like, ah. This is called Bathroom Photo. My 3-year-old son sits naked on the potty, just out of a bath. I drape a gray towel over him. Now covered, he's a shivering monster perched on porcelain. I ask if he's done. He won't respond. So I grab my camera, snap a photo to share with his future fiancée when he brings her home during winter break, and when I have nothing else to say, I'll take her to the frame, hidden behind another, let her hold it, and tell her how once Pierce almost pooped in the tub when he was 3, how I bathed him, and he was small enough for me to carry wrapped up in a towel to his room to rub lotion all over his skin. And I know a lot of people in this room were instrumental in fighting the pipeline. Did we win that? I thought we did, but then I heard some backlash. So this poem is called Water, and I wrote this before we won, but you never know if you won until the end of the days, I guess. Water. And you've all seen the smart water, right? The really expensive smart water. Okay, picture I have that in my hand, because I forgot to bring my little prop. Water. I just want water. My friend says to drink smart water. What makes it smart? Is it that it's bottled and expensive and in pretty plastic? Is it that most folks cannot afford it? Is it that the water has a name that sounds like the word glacier? Or is it that the company has added electrolytes for taste, as if the water the earth provided didn't taste good enough? But we've destroyed all that water, haven't we? Almost all. And the last bit left, the aquifer, we want to drench, to douse with oil from a Trans-Canada pipeline. Oh yes, dear ones, this water is so smart after all. Yeah, my little thingies are all messed up. This is the last one I'll read from this book. Again, it's about motherhood and the earth and divorce and a bunch of different things in this collection. This poem is called Farm. When mother was sick, daughter ran the place, even though she was the youngest. In every litter, there's a runt. It can't fight to suckle. Its squeals drive the sow to squash, then suffocate the blind piglet. By the pig pen, daughter would stay for hours when the sow gave birth. Which one didn't belong? She read the clouds, the birds, she knew. A storm's coming, loud, thunderous. She'd watch the piglet shrivel in just one day, 1 hour, to a sun-dried red raisin. Still it cried, waiting. It seemed the right thing to do. Pluck the piglet from the rest, hold it by the wiry tail, then slam the body against the brick wall. Again, the eyes pop forth, wild ricocheting ping-pong balls set free from their cage, the blood smacked and sprayed, an attempt at Pollock with a bloated paintbrush. Toss the body away and see relief in the sow's eyes. Years later, when daughter learned she was having a girl, she decorated the nursery walls. Delicate green, furniture white as paper, curtains lacy pink, a crochet of piglet tails, the rug hand-woven, baskets to hold everything. She waited with the patience learned from the farm. Seasons came to birth bright crops, to harvest death, a cycle, rain and sun, drought and flood. During the birth, she lost so much blood, the doctor almost called it, but tornadoes twist away. Night after night, daughter's feet padded through the nursery door. The baby wouldn't hush, latch, or sleep. Her lips and skin so red from crying, the piglet was in her arms, a tiny oracle forecasting a bad crop, a wolf on the loose, a noose. It seemed the right thing to do. I don't have a clock up here, so I'm trying to keep time. So this is my new book. It's titled Eva. Eva Braun was Hitler's longtime companion, and she started seeing him when she was 17 years old, and he was much older, obviously. She was a photography assistant at Hoffman's photography store, which is the actual official photographer for the Nazi Party. And I was drawn to Eva because I wanted to understand how a young woman who had a two-parent household, a very normal upbringing, went to Catholic school, would be drawn to this man who obviously is evil. And so I started doing some research, and I found out there weren't many books about Eva, and very few of her writings have lasted. A few diary entries, a few letters, and that's it. And so I wanted to envision what she felt and why she would take this path. And I felt some compassion for her because she was young, I believe she was naive, and at that time she decided to stay in that relationship, although it was very depressing for her. She tried to kill herself twice while she was with him. She was very, very lonely. He was always off with war management, and before that, trying to become the chancellor. So I wanted to read just a few poems from this new book. It just came out. There we go. So the first poem I'm going to read is about her first suicide attempt. The gun. I polished it with my thumb, laid it on my chest, felt the weight, and exhaled into the barrel, and its echo warned me of loss. My lips left red lipstick on its rim. My blood splattered on the wall, my skull fractured, teeth and eyes embedded into the headboard. I aimed, I fired, I survived. The next one's waiting for the phone call. Pace, pace, pace. We organize the closet, sort earrings, cosmetics, drum fingers on the desk, shuffle worn letters, reordering his words, bite my nails, pace, pace, pace. Make the bed, fluff the pillows, apply red lipstick and mascara, try on every pair of heels, crack my knuckles, brush my hair, brush, brush, knock the handle against my head, pace, pace, pace. When the phone rings, I lie. Yes, I loved the necklace. Yes, I'm entertained. Yes, I'm happy. When he hangs up, pace, pace, pace. Later, I whip out the journal, write these lines 50 times. How can someone live like this? Does he really love me? Why am I here alone? And some of the poems are more dreamlike, trying to envision what she would be feeling or thinking while she's sitting around waiting and waiting for him. Like a Ferris wheel mishap. First one wire snaps, like a tape measure it shoots to the ground. Like the bow after the arrow is released, the string vibrates. Then the slap of others snaking away. The children hear the hum. Then movement begins. The wheel rolls. They clutch the metal bars. They hold on to each other. It's too late. The gondolas attached to the rim empty of their passengers. Goodbye, pleasure wheel. Goodbye. On their second suicide attempt, the first was with a gun. The next one was with pills. The pills. I count them again. 18, 19, 20. Little white soldiers lined up on the bedside table, ready to march me out of the field. Little white tickets for a train ride that never ends. 21, 22, 23. Little white snowballs destined to melt before I launch them like missiles into your face. Little white answers intended for your eyes only. 24, 25, 26. Little white pebbles on the window frame signaling surrender. Little white angels to escort me home. And so when, I don't know what history people are familiar with, and I don't want to bore you with all the details, but basically they're together for a long time. They're down in the bunker, and the Third Reich is falling, and Germany is going to lose the war, and they decide to get married 24 hours before they kill themselves. So when she's signing the marriage license, she signs it Eva, and then she's supposed to put Hitler because that's her new name. She signs it Braun, and then she crosses off Braun and then writes Hitler. So the last poem in the book is entitled Braun Hitler, and there's her Braun is crossed off on the title. Take off the brown, put on black, put on red, cross off the familiar name, and with flourish sign away this life. Here is my jacket, here are my shoes, here a bill that needs to be paid, here a dress I've only worn twice. I won't be back this way, so take it all. The clock is ticking and he taps his foot impatiently. I want to look nice, so he hands me a pill, a treat. I straighten my skirt. I must always look neat. He holds my hand. I don't cry. Only the image of the flames licking my hair, my face gives me pause. Then I whisper, I don't care, finally giving him my all. And then I just wanted to read 2 new ones if I have time. So I'm looking for a home for this collection. I'm hoping it'll happen soon. I have a collection called, or manuscript, The Book of Levinson. And Bob Levinson is an American. Turns out he was actually working for the CIA. But at the time that they announced that he disappeared, they said he was a PI. But either way, he's an American who's been held in Iran for 9 years. And his family received, about 4 years ago, some photographs of him holding up signs and in an orange, like, prisoner suit with chains, and then they also received a video. And I feel like Bob Levinson hasn't received the attention that he deserves. And back in January, we had 3 Americans released, which was such good news. Amir Hekmani, Jason Rezaian, and Pastor Saeed. But Bob wasn't, unfortunately, Bob wasn't released, and they deny knowing where he is. So I wrote poems in Bob's voice with the help of his family. I've contacted them, been in touch with them for a couple of years now, interviewed with them, especially his son David. And then I sent them the poems before I sent out the work to be published, because I wanted their permission, and they're good with it. But I wanted to read just 2 poems from the last section of the book, which are written in my voice, about Bob's situation. The Haunted House. I squeeze my husband's hand as I follow his black coat around dark corners. Cobwebs stick to my hair. Middle schoolers push my back. Hurry, hurry! The floor slants up and we stumble, catch ourselves against plastic axes, skeletons, giant wire spiders. Hallways lead to rooms, one with a grown woman in pigtails cradling a decapitated baby doll. Dozens of doll heads hang from the ceiling. Another room, a butcher in a blood-splattered apron cuts the air with a cleaver. Rubber intestines ooze on the counter. Down the hall, carnival music squeals as a demented clown chases us to the stairs that lead to another scene. The man in an orange jumpsuit, shackled to the wall, his white hair and beard covered in dirt, moans, "I think of you." An actor dressed in black approaches the prisoner, screams in his face, wielding a chainsaw. The white beard hangs his head in despair. I have to look away. We paid to enter this place. And these are written to Bob. I'm the I and Bob's the you. I first heard your name on the radio. I first heard your name on the radio and I couldn't stop thinking of you. Then I read about your family, your life before, and wanted everyone to know of you. When I worry about taxes, my ex-husband, my boss, I look to the ceiling. Remember Levinson. At a writing conference, I carry your photo, share your plight with the audience, to anyone who will listen. Levinson, Levinson. A well-dressed man from Chicago tells me he's never heard of you, and the shock burns my throat. When a former Marine stops me in the lobby to tell me he knows your story, we speak your name, Levinson. I'm a rudderless ship chugging in the night. Levinson, Levinson, Levinson. Water pulls away, the stars hide. All of this for a man I have never met. A man I might have passed in the street without a greeting. Yet I cannot turn or be quiet. I print out your photo, tape it to my bedroom wall, glance your way every morning as I leave the room, and every evening before I turn out the light. Thank you.